Alright, I had some requests on the powder coating machine here. So I think today I'm going to take a little time and I'll go through this, the replumbing, so it works properly. And I'll talk about the other powder coating things that go together here. It's really pretty simple. You've got three separate pressure gauges. You got three pressure gauges and three pressure regulators. You know, each regulator runs each gauge. You've got an inlet, which would be this side here, and then you've got an outlet. The outlets go to these little ports in the back. Those are all fine. You can leave the outlets, which are, I think they're all on the left side. Well, this is on the bottom, but anyway, those you can leave. Those are fine. It's the inlets that are wrong. You've got this valve here, which is an electric valve. When that is closed, no air should go anywhere. When this opens, air should go to all the gauges, everything. Should all run through the, once this is activated. And it's sensitive on which side you supply the air. Now this is the supply right here. It comes in right here. And we'll look at that when I get done with this part. It comes into the valve, it comes out, and as you can see there's numerous T's here. There's a T here, there's a T here, there's a T here. And I did that so that when the air comes out of this main one, it's almost like a manifold. Each line goes to each gauge. And then I have an extra one here, which is this white one. I drilled a hole in the bottom of the cabinet. This white one goes down to the agitator line. The way this thing was originally designed is when you put air to it, the agitator ran all the time. And I didn't like that. I don't, you know, why would you have that running all the time? The compressor's kicking in like crazy. So I rigged this up so that it's also tied into the main feed line here. And then you got the circuit board here, of course. And mine did go bad, and what I did, they wanted me to send this entire thing back. What I did instead is I just bought another one, and I swapped out this main board, this main section here, replumbed it, and sent the whole thing back. I never unpackaged the one I purchased, and I got my money back that way. You'll have to buy some of these tees, and let me get the box here. And what I did is I got on Amazon, and I bought this. So this has got Y's, which you can use. It's got T's, it's got elbows, it's got connectors, and you can use this for all kinds of other stuff too. And it's all, these are all 1/4 inch, so use the 1/4 inch plastic. If you run out of the 1/4 inch, actually there was a bunch of this stuff comes with this machine. So I had actually enough except for the white one, which goes down to the agitator. And I just bought that at the Ace Hardware, so that's no big deal. I got this on Amazon. It's even got the web address here, which is amazon.com/tailons. So it's TAILONZ, tailons. And yeah, so that's the ticket there. You got to buy those, but you can use them for a lot of stuff. So once you get this all plumbed, when you trigger, all the gauges should move, all of them. And when you untrigger, everything goes dead. That's the way it's supposed to work. So let's take a look at the feed line side now. Now originally, I don't believe it had the gauge here. I think it just had the water collector and that was it. So, there's a T that's plugged, I don't know why. Anyway, so I built all this stuff here. And this line here goes over to my plasma cutter. This one goes over to that line. So I kind of use this as a junction. So none of this stuff you really have to do. So the air feeds in, comes up through the regulator. I have that set at about 45 pounds. And then it goes through the water collector. Then it goes into this main line, which goes into the main solenoid valve. And that's pretty much it. Now this is here is actually your agitator line, which goes down here into the bottom of the tank. And the other side of it is this white line that sticks up into here. So pretty self-explanatory there. So let's go ahead and turn it on. And this knob here sets the kilovolts, and this is the microamps. So I'm running about 90 microamps, 36 1,000 volts. And just random selected that, and it works. So I kind of leave it because it works. Where you set the gauges and stuff, that's up to you. So I would recommend, starting at low settings on these gauges and just play around with it. Those are the initial settings. This thing here, you can crank that, up to 100,000 volts or whatever. This just works for me. But if you use different materials, I basically use the same materials when I'm spraying, so once I set this, I really don't know what's wrong with it. But it works great. In fact, it works so good, I took my Eastwood unit that I had, it was working and everything, it's in the dumpster. One thing this does not do, which is a wonderful thing, is a lot of times on metal pieces where the pieces fit together in the joint, you get what they call a Faraday effect, where the powder just won't stick. And what I had to do with the other gun is I would put these frames in the oven, heat them up first, and then spray them when they were hot. And that's called hot flocking, is what that's called. And basically the powder, as soon as it hits the metal, it sticks to it because it melts. Well, that's not the ideal situation. This unit does not do that. I get 100% coverage everywhere all the time. I don't have to hot flock anything. I don't have to do anything special to get stuff to adhere. It just sticks. The powder just sticks. And I'm using less powder. I'm getting less overspray. This is the ticket. This thing really works. So I'm going to put him back together in a bit here, but I'm going to talk about the oven and some of this other stuff. So first on the boot, if you want to build a boot, now this one here, I don't know what gauge metal this is. This is probably a 20 gauge, maybe 18 gauge steel. I just had some of that sitting here. So I took 3 pieces of it and I made this surround here, which is just big enough for all the stuff I do. I've got a rod here that hangs from it, and then another one up above, where I hang all the stuff to spray it. Because this is metal, I ground, that unit has to be grounded to the work piece, so anything I hang on here now is grounded. And then the gun, puts out 36,000 volts, and this is 36,000 negative, gun is positive. So between the two, it makes it stick. I got this extra one here. When I bring my little lift over here that I have frame hanging on, I clip this on it so it has a good ground. So that's pretty simple to make. What's nice about it is the powder is stuck to the sides here. So every once in a while I'll sweep this all down, sweep it into a pail, and I got this pail here, and you can see there's probably 5 or 6 pounds of powder in there. And I'll dump it back in the bin and recycle it. So you can just keep reusing it as long as you don't get it full of dirt or something like that. As soon as you switch colors, you got to clean this thing really good because you don't want to mix colors. But that's an inexpensive thing to do, and make it out of steel. And if you have like corrugated steel or roofing or something like that, that would work. But that way, the spray that, is in the air will tend to stick to this, and you don't end up with it all over the country. As far as the oven, let's look at the oven. I bought this oven from an outfit in Iowa, and they built it for themselves. I just happened to call them and ask them, what they had for ovens and this kind of thing. And it was it's basically 4 foot square. I added this part. You can build these really cheap. If I was to do another oven, I would just build it. All it is 3.5-inch metal studs. You can get them at Menards. The interior and exterior is just sheet metal. And this is fairly thin. I think this is probably, I'd say 22 gauge. So you just screw sheet metal on it. The insulation is just household, non-paper backed, plain fiberglass insulation. So I added this is just metal studs, and I stuck that together. The control It's just a 220 volt digital control for the heating element. The heating element is basically a household kitchen oven element. That's all that is. So it's got two wires that run to the control box, and it's got the digital heat control. And you know, you can get the control from an electrician if you don't know, you know, what to look for. And I don't think it was very expensive. I think the control, I had to replace this one. And I think it was under $100 to replace the control module. And you know, you can get the burner pretty cheap. I imagine they're, you know, $60, $70. And then the metal studs and all that stuff. I think I paid around $1,000 for this oven. I could have built it for about $300, maybe $400 at the most. You know, and I would have built it, at the time, the 4 foot was what I needed because I didn't have room for anything more. Now, I would like to have it go all the way to the floor, up to here. It would make it a lot easier to load stuff. It would just be better and more versatile. But this is fine. This works just fine for me. As you can see, I've got some parts in here that I heated up yesterday. So typically, I run it at 400 degrees. I wait till the powder flashes where it turns shiny. Then I set my oven timer here for 30 minutes. And in 30 minutes when it starts beeping, then she's done. I never leave the shop with this running. What I'll do is if it's at noon, I'll make sure that they're at a flash point and that, you know, there's maybe 10 or 15 minutes left only. I shut the oven off and I leave. And it'll coast for, you know, 10 or 15 minutes. When I get back, the stuff is done. So anyway, if you wanted to really get into this, I think I paid like $40 for the spray unit. I've probably got, you know, if you're going to buy materials for that, it's got a 6-inch pipe on it with a booster fan in it to help draw the stuff out to the fan that's up there, the exhaust fan. I don't know. If you built out of the scrap metal and stuff, you'd probably have about $50 in that. And you'd probably have another $400. So for about $1,000, you can do this whole system. And the powder's cheap. I've got a box down here, I think you paid $170 for it. That'll last me 2 years. It's highly economical. And what's nice about powder too is it gets everywhere. But you can clean it with the air hose. You just spray it off and clean it up. It's not like paint. Paint is awful. You get paint overspray and everything's just ruined. I hate dealing with paint. It's just such a mess. Where this is a mess, but it's a cleanable mess is the difference. Now I don't know if they were all screwed up like this one, or if I'm just lucky that way. They come under different brand names. I think this is a WX something. I'll put it on the screen. But there's other ones like it. So here's the ticket. If you get on Amazon, or you get on Eastwood, or you get on any site that's selling units like this, if it looks like this, it's the same thing. I think Eastwood sells one, and this is cream colored white. I think I saw one on Amazon where the box here is yellow. But if it looks like this with the tank and the stand and all this in this configuration, it's the same thing. That's one of the things with the Chinese-made stuff, is they'll sell the same unit under 25 different names. It's the same thing. I don't know if the plumbing was really screwed up. I mean, this thing would not work from day one until I replumbed it, and now it's like fantastic. I don't know if they're all like that or not, but I know for sure if they got this all straightened out now, I would definitely reroute the agitator, tee it into the main line so that your agitator line only runs when you trigger. Hopefully they got this all straightened out because it's actually a very nice unit. So, any questions? Stick her in the old comments. I'll see if we can get back to you. I did get comments they wanted more clarification on that, so I decided to do this today just to make sure I covered the bases. Highly recommend this unit. I made another little change on my universal sucker upper tube. Before I had this line here, I had a tape to the side of this, which was kind of hokey. So I drilled a hole in here, fished it through here, and it actually protrudes right here. So it'll do a direct agitation right at the tip. And then they got the couple holes here. I might actually drill another set of holes. Oh, I guess I already do have them. They were covered up with the tape. There's 2 holes here, and there's 2 holes here. So that's another nice thing. You can build one of these for basically nothing. And you can actually take this and stick it in the box. You don't even have to open the box. You just stick it in there and poke it through the plastic bag that's inside that box and just draw directly out of the box. This thing works really good. So I would recommend building one of these if you want to do color switches. It's really easy to switch colors too. I should mention that real quick. You unhook this thing from the tank, squeeze the trigger a bunch, it'll clear the line, and then you stick that in whatever color you're doing. And the first shot, you want to like spray that off to the side, but then you're going to get clear color after that. So, you know, it takes seconds to switch back and forth between colors, which is also a plus.